Bank of Canada left rates unchanged. Derek, what stood out for you?
Well, a very cautious statement, not really that surprising. One of the interesting takeaways for me was that the bank still clings to the notion that rates should be higher, that the likelihood is that the next move will still be up, but it's going to be a while before we get there, just given the fact that the Bank of Canada is very concerned about the near-term outlook, a lot weaker than it had expected in its January outlook. It's in the process of marking down its forecasts, and I just don't see the conditions being reached in the coming months for rate hikes. So yes, they still have a tightening bias, but it just doesn't look like the conditions will be in place to see rates go any higher anytime soon.
And given those weakened conditions, what's your outlook for Canadian rates going forward?
Well, we had been calling for another rate hike. We had one more rate hike in our forecast, and I think just based on the way the economy underperformed in the fourth quarter, don't see much growth at all in the first quarter of this year in Canada. And even beyond that, the outlook is for only a muted rebound. That prospect of a rate hike is certainly dwindling, and we very likely will see rates remaining unchanged through the rest of this year.
And what do you see as some of the risks to the bank's outlook?
Well, it's two-sided. I mean, that's one thing. There was sort of a glimmer of positivity when it referred to the recent rebound in the market and commodity prices, some of the hopes around a trade agreement between the U.S. and China. These are all factors that could drive growth better. But, it's more concerned about the economy underperforming in the near term. There are very little signs of any kind of rebound in the growth. And if anything, we may even see a contraction in the first quarter of this year. So I think for them, the risks are that growth remains quite low, that inflation comes down. And if that's the case, then they might even entertain a rate cut. We're not close to that point yet. They're just going to be very patient, sort of assess the data as it comes in.
In terms of the loonie, where do you see it heading over the next year?
Well, prospects have really come down for the loonie as well as the overall economy. Right around the time of the USMCA deal, there were hopes that the loonie might get back up to 78 or 80 cents, close to its fair value. I think right now what developments are suggesting is that it's going to remain in a lower plateau. It's currently trading in the 74 to 75 US cent range. I see that being a likely trading range in the near term, and we could see bouts of selling pressure. I'm just a little concerned about the Canadian economic data and housing data that's been coming in, and some of that underperforming the picture that's being set stateside, where we actually see growth rebounding in the second quarter. So my view is, within the recent range, 74 to 75, maybe some downside risk if the data come in on the soft side.
Derek, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.